Hey guys, tonight we're diving into the life of a Victorian coal miner. Picture this, it's barely dawn, the sky's still dark, and you're stirring awake in your small, cramped house. The chill of the morning air sneaks through the thin walls, but you can't sleep any longer. The day is calling you, and it's one that's about to begin long before the sun rises. You roll out of bed, rubbing your eyes, not quite sure what's worse. The early hour or the day ahead. There's no snooze button in this life. You get dressed quickly in the flickering light of a candle. Your boots, worn and sturdy, wait by the door, your most trusted companions. The town around you is still quiet, with only a few miners shuffling about. The town itself is sleepy for now, but not for long. You've heard the distant clatter of carts as they start their rounds, delivering the day's supplies. By the time the sun peaks over the horizon, you'll already be deep underground, far from the warmth of the morning. But that's the life of a coal miner, right? The hours are long, and the work is grueling, but it's what you've known. You grab a quick bite, nothing fancy, just a piece of bread, or maybe some porridge. There's no time for a leisurely breakfast when there's a mine to get to. The walk to the pit is a silent one, save for the distant sounds of hammers and the low murmur of other workers. The air is thick with the smell of coal dust, and the ground beneath your feet feels like it's always a little damp. As you approach the entrance to the mine, the massive wooden doors creak open, and you can already hear the muffled sounds of the workers below. You take a deep breath, knowing full well that the real challenge is just beginning. The day's first shovel of coal waits for you. You step inside the mine, and as the heavy door closes behind you, the sound of the world above fades away completely. It's just you, your fellow miners, and the ever-present dark that seems to swallow everything in sight. The air grows damp and heavy, thick with the scent of coal and sweat. You pause for a moment, adjusting to the dim light, your eyes squinting as they slowly adjust. The descent into the depths is always a little unsettling. The ropes creak and groan as they lower the cage you're standing in. And for a split second, you wonder just how deep you're going today, but you push the thought aside. No time for nerves now. The work is waiting, and there's no going back once you're this far in. As you reach the bottom, the ground underfoot shifts, a reminder of just how unstable this whole place is. You think about the miners who've come before you, their voices still echoing in your head, telling stories of their own experiences underground. It's a tight, knit community down here. But even among the brothers of the pit, there's an unspoken understanding. There's danger everywhere. The mine itself is a maze of tunnels and shafts, twisting and turning, seemingly with no end. The miners working beside you are familiar figures. But even so, it's always a little jarring to see their faces covered in soot, their eyes wide with a kind of constant alertness. Everyone has their job, and today it's your turn to take up the pickaxe. You grip it firmly, the wooden handle familiar and worn from years of use. With a swing, the pickaxe strikes the coal, sending tiny chunks scattering in every direction. It feels satisfying. There's something oddly therapeutic about it, even if it means you'll spend the rest of the day in this dirt-filled cavern. The rhythmic sound of the pickaxe hitting the coal becomes a lullaby of sorts, though it's far from soothing. It's the kind of sound that makes your muscles tense, your back ache, and your mind wander. There's a certain quiet in the pit, broken only by the occasional cough or the clang of metal on stone. But it's not really a peaceful quiet, more of a deep, unsettling stillness. Every now and then, you catch a glance at the tunnel walls, where faint marks and scratches from past miners tell a story of struggle, of how deep the work goes, of the lives lived and lost in this very place. You glance up at the distant figures of your fellow miners. Some are working in pairs, while others work alone, focused entirely on their tasks. It's a solitary experience, even when you're surrounded by people. Your hands are raw from the work, but there's no room for complaints. The sound of another miner's pickaxe ringing through the tunnel reminds you that you're just one of many. Time passes in fits and starts. You check the clock once. Hard to believe that only an hour has gone by. It feels like much longer. But this is your life now. You take another swing, and another, lost in the repetitive motions, each one pulling you deeper into the rhythm of the mine. The first couple of hours are always the hardest, your body not yet used to the physical strain. But soon enough, it becomes second nature. You don't think about it anymore. You just do it. The strange thing about a day in the mine is that it feels like time slows down, then speeds up all at once. You start the day thinking you'll never make it through. But before you know it, you're already halfway through the shift, your hands covered in grime and your mind elsewhere. It's almost like the mine itself has a way of swallowing time. Slowly, surely, without you even noticing. As the hours drag on, the air in the mine grows thicker, heavier with each passing minute. It's not just the dust, it's the heat, too. Even deep underground, it's hard to escape the oppressive warmth. Your clothes stick to your skin, your brow glistens with sweat. The physical labor is exhausting, but it's the weight of the air, thick with coal dust, that really gets to you. You cough, a deep, rattling sound, and wipe your forehead with the back of your hand. You take a quick break, leaning against the wooden beams that hold the tunnels up. The other miners don't seem to mind the discomfort. They've gotten used to it over the years, just like you. But that doesn't mean it's easy. You can see the tiredness in their eyes, the way they move slower with each passing hour. Some of them are barely able to keep their balance as they walk, their bodies worn down from years of backbreaking labor. But they don't complain. They can't. This is their life now. A miner passes by you, his face smudged with soot. He gives you a quick nod, then goes back to work. You can hear the rhythm of his pickaxe as he strikes the coal, a sharp, steady thud echoing in the dark. For a moment, you almost find solace in the sound, the predictable thud, thud, thud of it, the sense that, no matter how hard the day gets, there's a pattern to it. A rhythm. You fall into it like everyone else. But even with the rhythm of the work, it's hard not to notice the sense of isolation. Sure, you're surrounded by people, but you're still alone in this. Each miner is focused on his task, each one lost in his own thoughts. It's as if everyone is just trying to make it through the day. You start thinking about how long it's been since you had a real conversation, since you've shared a joke with someone who wasn't also covered in grime. The mine has a way of making you feel like time doesn't matter, like the world outside doesn't exist. Still, you have to push through. There's a job to be done, and if you don't do it, no one else will. You take a deep breath and swing your pickaxe again, the metal biting into the coal with a satisfying crunch. The task is repetitive, but there's something meditative about it. The longer you work, the more your mind starts to wander. You think about home, about the things you've left behind in the world above. You wonder what it would be like to have a life outside of this. A life where you don't wake up in the dark, where the sound of pickaxes isn't the soundtrack to your existence. It's a fleeting thought, though. A nice one, but unrealistic. The pay is decent, and the work, well, the work is what you've known. It's what you'll probably always know. The shift stretches on, and you start to lose track of time entirely. You've been down here for hours now. Maybe it's been 8 hours, maybe 12. The only way you can tell is by the aches in your back, the soreness in your arms. It's becoming harder to stand upright, to lift your pickaxe with the same strength you had in the beginning. But you keep going. You don't stop, not unless you want to be replaced. Suddenly, there's a shout from across the tunnel. Someone's hurt. Your heart races, and for a moment, you freeze. The air in the mine suddenly feels even thicker, and you hold your breath as you listen for more. Was it a cave-in? Or just an accident? You can't tell from where you stand, but the tension in the air is palpable. A few of the other miners rush toward the source of the shout, their footsteps echoing loudly in the silence that has followed. You stay where you are, reluctant to move. You've heard too many stories about miners getting caught in accidents. cave-ins, falling rocks, broken limbs. It's a part of life here, but that doesn't mean it's any less terrifying. After a few minutes, the tension lifts and the shouting fades. No one's seriously hurt. It was just a slip, a minor injury. But the incident leaves a mark on you. The mine is dangerous. You know it. Everyone knows it. And yet you keep working, because that's what you have to do. The rest of the shift is a blur. You go through the motions, each swing of your pickaxe feeling heavier than the last. Your body aches, but you press on. The end of the day feels like a distant dream, something you can't quite reach, no matter how hard you try. You glance up at the dimly lit ceiling, the wood beams creaking above you, and you start to wonder if there's ever really an end to the day in the mine. Does it ever feel like you're truly finished? Or are you just going from one shift to the next, with no real end in sight? Finally, you hear it. A signal, the distant sound of a bell echoing through the tunnels. It's the end of the shift. At least, it's supposed to be. But there's no rush to pack up and leave. After all, even when you're finished with the day's work, there's always something to wrap up. A last shovelful, a final sweep through the tunnel, or just a quick check to make sure everything's in order before you head out. You're used to it by now, the slow unwinding of the day, where the rhythm of the work lingers in your bones. The first miners begin to leave, the shadows of their figures flickering against the walls as they make their way toward the lift. The sounds of their footsteps are like music to your ears. You can feel the weight of the day lifting slightly as you two gather your tools and make your way to the surface. The mine is alive with movement now, with the last whispers of the workday fading into the background. You climb into the cage that will take you back up, the metal clanking against the stone. The ascent is just as slow as the descent, but you welcome it. It's a break, even if only for a few minutes, as you rise from the depths of the earth and back into the light. The darkness fades, and with each passing second, you feel yourself leaving behind the damp air and the dust-covered walls of the mine. As the cage creaks its way toward the surface, you think about what's waiting for you up top. You'll be exhausted, sure, but there's still the rest of the world to face. The sun is just starting to dip below the horizon, casting a golden glow across the landscape as you step out of the mine and back into the fresh air. It feels good to be above ground again, though you know that the relief is only temporary. Tomorrow, you'll be right back in the same position, digging through the dark earth for coal to fuel the world above. The day's fatigue weighs heavy on you, but there's a certain satisfaction in knowing that you've made it through another shift. You watch the other miners as they emerge, their faces as tired as yours, but no less determined. Some of them speak in low voices, murmuring to one another as they head home. It's a quiet, familiar routine that makes the hard work feel like just another part of the cycle. As you make your way through the narrow streets of the town, you can hear the sounds of families already gathering for dinner, the smell of stew and bread wafting through the air. Your stomach growls in response, reminding you that despite the exhaustion, life continues. The familiar sounds of the town are almost comforting, like a reminder that there's more to life than the endless hours spent underground. You get home, and it's time for a quick meal. Nothing fancy, just something to fill the stomach before the night falls completely. You share a few quiet words with your family, your wife, maybe a child or two, and then settle into the usual routine of rest. It's not much, but it's what you've got. You eat and you rest. Tomorrow, you'll do it all again. But for now, you let yourself relax for a moment. The weariness in your limbs feels like a blanket you can finally pull over yourself. You lie down, your body aching from the work, but your mind drifting. The soft glow of the candle beside your bed casts shadows against the walls as you close your eyes. You don't have to think about tomorrow just yet. Tonight, at least, you're allowed to rest. Tomorrow, the cycle begins again. But for now, the world is quiet. You can't help but feel a sense of quiet pride. You've made it through another day, And in this life, sometimes that's enough. The next morning comes as abruptly as the last. You're awake before the rooster even starts crowing, your body naturally accustomed to the rhythm of early rises. There's no alarm clock to drag you out of bed, just the instinct to get up and start the day. It's almost like you've become one with the darkness, with the earth. You rise from your bed, stiff and sore, but you know there's no time for lingering. Another day in the pit awaits, and no one's going to do it for you. You feel the familiar aches in your body, the muscles in your back sore from the heavy lifting, your arms stiff from hours of swinging the pickaxe. But there's no choice. You pull on your clothes, feeling the weight of each movement. The house is still quiet, save for the faint sound of your children stirring in their sleep. You give them a quick glance before you head out the door. You won't be seeing them again until the evening, and the thought makes you briefly pause. But there's no time to think about that. You grab your boots and head out the door, stepping into the cold morning air. The streets are already coming to life, with miners just like you heading to the pits. The town seems like it's always in motion, and you're a small part of its never-ending cycle. The walk to the mine is familiar, almost automatic now. You've walked this path countless times, and it's always the same. Cold, quiet, and stretching before you. As you approach the entrance of the mine, you can already hear the faint sounds of activity inside. The clatter of tools, the distant murmur of voices, the occasional shout. It's the start of another long day. You steel yourself for the descent. The lift will carry you down again, just like it always does. Each time, you wonder if you'll ever get used to the eerie feeling of being lowered into the earth, so far below the surface, where daylight feels like a distant memory. The air inside the mine is as thick as ever, but it's the sound that strikes you first. The echo of hammers, the scraping of pickaxes, the sound of life underground. It's like a constant symphony of work. You hear the miners around you, focused on their tasks. There's no room for hesitation, no time for doubt. You take your place, pickaxe in hand, and begin the grind. The day unfolds much like the last one, slow and steady, with moments of fatigue creeping in and out of focus. There's something about the monotony that makes it feel like time stretches and contracts at random. One moment, it feels like the hours are slipping away too fast. And the next, you're counting the seconds until your next break. You can hear the work around you, the rhythmic swing of the pickaxes, the steady scrape of coal being chipped away. It's the same day after day. And then there's the silence. It happens occasionally, like a pause in the chaos. The sound of the pickaxe striking the coal stops, and for a moment, there's nothing but the sound of your own breath, the rustle of your clothes, and the distant hum of activity. It's almost peaceful, but you can't linger in it. You have work to do. You can't afford to stop for too long. The job itself is hard, but it's not just the physical toll that gets to you. It's the mental strain. The isolation can be suffocating. Everyone is so focused on their own tasks, so lost in the routine of the day, that it feels like you're all just going through the motions. There's little room for conversation, little room for distractions. It's just the work. It's always just the work. The mind becomes a blur of motions: pick, swing, chip. Pick, swing, chip. It's like a dance, but there's no music, no rhythm except the one that's dictated by the coal. You've done this so many times now, it's almost automatic. You don't have to think about it. You just do it. Yet, somewhere in the back of your mind, you wonder. You wonder if this is all there is to life. You wonder if it's worth it. And then, just as quickly, you push those thoughts aside. There's no time for daydreams down here. The world above seems so far away, but it's still there, just out of reach. You'll get there when the day's done. But for now, the only world that matters is the one beneath your feet. The hours drag on. You barely notice the sweat clinging to your skin or the aching in your bones. The repetitive motions of swinging the pickaxe have become second nature, but the weariness that settles deep in your muscles never truly goes away. You're starting to feel like a machine, moving through the motions without thought, without pause. You're not even sure if you've eaten today, or if you've even had a proper drink of water. It doesn't matter though. It's the job. You do it. You keep doing it. The mine is full of whispers, muffled sounds, and the occasional shout or groan of another miner. Sometimes, you wonder if they're just going through the motions too. If they, like you, are simply surviving from one moment to the next, working without thought. Every now and then, you catch a glimpse of another miner, his face tired but determined. There's no time for small talk, no time for anything other than working, but there's a shared understanding between all of you. It's unspoken, but it's there. This collective experience of being down here, of working in the dark. The thought of being trapped down here, buried beneath tons of rock, flickers across your mind. The danger is always there, lurking just beyond the edge of your awareness. It's in the back of your mind, but it's something you try not to think about. The possibility of a cave in is always present, the knowledge that the earth could collapse and bury you forever. You've seen the accidents. You've heard the stories. But today, it's just another day, just another shift. So you keep working, pushing the thought aside, because what else is there to do? Around you, the other miners continue their labor, their faces etched with exhaustion. You glance at your own hands, noticing the calluses and dirt that seem to be permanently etched into your skin. The work doesn't stop. It can't. You've heard older miners talk about the early days, about when things were even worse, when conditions were more dangerous, when the work was harder, and when a day's pay wasn't enough to buy a decent meal. But you know better than to believe everything they say. The conditions might be rough, but they've always been rough. You've known nothing else. There's a slight tremor in the ground, the subtle shift of weight beneath your feet. You don't even flinch. You've gotten used to it. Sometimes the ground feels like it's about to give way, but it doesn't. Not today. Maybe tomorrow, though. The constant threat of collapse is a part of life down here. It's not just the physical toll. It's the mental weight of knowing that you're at the mercy of the earth. But you can't let it bother you. You can't let it stop you. Not today. The bell rings again, signaling the end of your shift. The sound is a relief. Even though you know it's not the end of the day. It's just the end of one part of it. Your body aches as you gather your tools, the strain of the hours of labor catching up with you. The soreness in your arms, your back, and your legs is a familiar feeling. It's a reminder that you've worked, that you've earned your pay. And yet, it's never quite enough. The exhaustion lingers even after you leave the mine. You start the slow ascent back to the surface, your body shaking from the physical toll. The lift creaks as it pulls you upward, slowly, steadily. The noise of the mine fades as you rise, but the weight of the day doesn't leave you. You think about home, about the family waiting for you, about the meal you'll share, about the small comforts of life above ground. You've been down here long enough to forget how bright the sun is, to forget how fresh the air feels once you step outside. When the cage finally reaches the surface, the daylight hits you like a slap to the face. The air is colder than you remember, and the sunlight feels almost blinding after hours of darkness. You step out, blinking in the light, your eyes adjusting to the world above ground. The town is bustling with life, but it feels like a different world. You've just spent hours in a place where time doesn't matter, where the only thing that counts is the work. The town around you is full of noise now, the familiar sounds of people going about their day. You see the other miners making their way home, some of them chatting quietly with one another, others walking in silence, lost in their own thoughts. It's a strange feeling, stepping back into the world above. It feels distant, almost surreal, like you're waking up from a dream. You begin the walk home, your body heavy and tired. The town looks different now, quieter, more distant. The streets are crowded, but the faces around you seem to blur into one, all of you sharing the same exhaustion, the same sense of fatigue. but the work is done for today. You've made it through, and that's something. Dinner awaits at home, a simple meal to fill your stomach, and the chance to rest. You think about the long day ahead tomorrow, the pickaxe, the dust, the darkness. But for now, you take a deep breath and prepare yourself for the quiet of your home, for the moments of peace before another day in the mine. The evening comes quicker than you'd like. The daylight seems to evaporate as you reach home. Your muscles sore, your mind clouded with the haze of another long day in the mine. It's a familiar feeling now. This exhaustion that sits heavily on your shoulders, pressing down on you, urging you to slow down. But the world doesn't slow down with you. Your family's waiting, and there's still the business of getting through the evening, of pulling yourself out of the workday and back into the life above. You walk in, and the smell of something simple but comforting greets you. A stew, maybe some bread. The hearth crackles softly in the corner of the room, casting a warm glow. The moment you step inside, your children run to you, their faces eager for your attention. You smile, despite the weariness that lingers in your bones. For a brief moment, the aches fade, replaced by the familiar sound of your family's voices. They're your reason for coming home every day. And even though the work feels endless, they make it all worthwhile. But even in these moments, your thoughts linger on the mine. You can't help but carry a piece of it with you, even when you're back in the safety of your home. Your hands, still rough and calloused from the work, move mechanically as you take your seat at the table. The meal isn't much, but it's enough. You're grateful for it, even if it's not what you dream of when you think of food. You eat, you talk to your family, and you try to forget about the mine for a while. But it's always there in the background, isn't it? That deep pit in the earth, the echo of your pickaxe striking the coal, the endless, rhythmic work that consumes your days. It's easy to lose yourself in the monotony, in the routine of it all. The hours, the tunnels, the dust. It becomes a part of you, and there's no escaping it. Even when you're home, you're still a miner. You're still living in the shadow of the mine. After dinner, the kids scatter off to bed, and you find yourself sitting in the quiet. The house feels emptier now, the noise of the day fading away. You lean back in your chair, rubbing your sore neck. Your wife sits beside you, her tired eyes meeting yours. You don't need to say much. There's an understanding between you two, an unspoken acknowledgement that you're both doing the best you can, making do with what you have. It's then that you realize just how much the mine has become your life. The hours you spend there, the wear and tear on your body. It's hard to remember what life was like before the coal, before the endless shifts. There was a time when you thought there'd be something more, something better. But now, it feels like this is all there is. This is the life you've carved out for yourself, and there's no turning back. Still, there's a part of you that wonders, what if you could leave it all behind? What if you could find something else? Something different, that wasn't so demanding, so exhausting. But you push those thoughts aside. You know better than to dream too big. There's no place for dreams down here. There's only the work. There's only what's in front of you right now. And right now, it's your family, your rest, and tomorrow's shift. You head to bed soon after, your body already aching for the rest it desperately needs. The sheets are cool against your skin, and for a moment, you let yourself relax. You're surrounded by the quiet of your home, the peaceful hum of the world outside, and the soft rhythm of your own breathing. It's a comfort, even if it's brief. Tomorrow, the cycle begins again. You close your eyes, knowing that when you wake up, it'll be time to go back to the mine. It'll be time to pick up the pickaxe, to descend once more into the dark, to do it all over again. But tonight, at least, you can rest. Tonight, the world above ground is yours, and for a few fleeting hours, you're just a man, a father, a husband, without the weight of the coal mine on your shoulders. Tomorrow, the pickaxe will wait for you. But tonight, you sleep. The morning arrives, as it always does. Suddenly, without warning, as though the night never even happened. The coolness of the sheets and the softness of the bed are quickly replaced by the harsh reality of the day. You stir awake, and the familiar ache in your body hits you before your eyes are even fully open. Your muscles, still sore from the previous day's labor, groan in protest as you stretch out. But you can't lie here long, you know better. The world doesn't wait, and neither does the coal mine. Your wife stirs beside you, and you share a tired glance. There's no need for words. Both of you know what the day holds. She moves quietly, getting up to begin the morning chores, while you slowly pull yourself from the warmth of your bed. Your feet hit the cold wooden floor, and a shiver runs through you. It's always colder in the mornings, always harder to leave the warmth of your home. But you rise, putting on your boots, your hands moving through the familiar motions like they've been trained. There's something almost mechanical about it now. The way you prepare for the day, the way you step into the shoes of a miner, a father, a provider. It's a routine that doesn't allow for hesitation. Your life is in the rhythm of these movements, in the relentless march of the days. The walk to the mine feels longer today, perhaps because your muscles are still aching, perhaps because the sun is still hidden behind a layer of clouds. The streets are full of miners, their faces as tired as yours. You share a brief nod with a few of them, but there's no real conversation, no time for pleasantries. The mine is calling, and no one can ignore that. You reach the entrance to the mine, and there it is again. The familiar sensation of stepping into the darkness. The weight of the earth pressing down on you. The lift descends with a low creak, and once again, you find yourself being lowered into the belly of the earth. It's a strange feeling, descending into the pit day after day, leaving the world above behind as you sink further and further below the surface. The air is thick and stifling, the dust hanging heavy in the shafts. You pull your scarf up over your nose to shield yourself from the thick black dust that fills the air. It's a constant presence, clinging to everything it touches. The walls, the beams, your skin, your lungs, everything is coated in it. It's the price of coal, the price of work. You try to ignore it, try to focus on the task at hand, but it's hard. The dust gets into your eyes, into your throat, into your soul. It's the one thing you can't escape. Today's work begins just like yesterday's. The swing of the pickaxe, the steady rhythm of striking the coal, the slow and laborious progress you make with each strike. You find yourself lost in the motion, the world above becoming a distant memory as you lose yourself in the work. There's comfort in the routine, in the predictability of it all. You know what to expect, and you know that you'll make it through another day. But the thought of the endless repetition sometimes makes you wonder how long you can keep going, how much longer your body can take the strain. The heat is oppressive today, even underground. You can feel the sweat dripping down your back, the heavy air making it harder to breathe. The work is exhausting, and yet, there's still more to do. The hours pass by slowly, each minute stretching longer than the last. Your arms grow heavier with each swing, your legs starting to ache. But there's no time to rest. The mind demands its toll, and you give it what it wants. You glance over at the other miners, all of them working with the same determination. Some of them have been here far longer than you, their bodies showing the wear of years spent in the pit. They move with a practiced ease, their movements automatic, but even the most experienced among them can't escape the toll it takes. You've seen it in their eyes, the weariness, the quiet resignation. Everyone's just trying to make it through the day, through the week, through the year. There's an unsettling thought that comes and goes like a shadow in the back of your mind. Is this it? Is this your life, your future? Always working in the dark, always digging into the earth for coal. You've heard whispers of change, of things improving for the miners, but it all feels distant, like something out of reach. Change doesn't come easy here. The work goes on, the dust settles, and you keep swinging your pickaxe, one strike at a time. By the time the bell rings to signal the end of your shift, you're exhausted. Your muscles scream in protest. But you know you've made it through. You gather your tools, your hands shaking with fatigue, and make your way toward the lift. The lift creaks its way upward, and with each moment, you feel the pressure of the earth above you slowly begin to lift. The sunlight outside seems impossibly bright, almost blinding as you step back into the world above. And just like that, the mine feels like another world, as if it were never truly real. But you know it's waiting for you again tomorrow, just as it always has been. For now, you walk back home, knowing that for a few short hours, you're free from the weight of the pit. You'll eat, rest, and spend time with your family before doing it all over again. The mine is always there, but for tonight, you can leave it behind. Tomorrow, it'll be waiting for you again. Another morning, and yet the same ritual repeats itself. You wake to the faint sounds of the town stirring, the cold grip of reality pulling you from sleep far too soon. The bed beneath you is warm, a small consolation against the chill of the early morning. You stretch, your joints protesting, and the familiar ache of yesterday's labor creeps into your bones. The warmth of sleep is already slipping away as you rise from the bed. Each movement a reminder of the grind ahead. You walk through the quiet house, the sound of your footsteps the only noise in the stillness. Your wife is already up, tending to the hearth, preparing for another day. She doesn't say much, and neither do you. There's no need. The routine has become second nature. Get up, get ready, eat something, head to the mine. It's all too familiar now, so ingrained in your daily life that you barely think about it. The rhythm of the mine has taken over your existence. After a quick breakfast, there's not much time left. You pull on your boots, feeling the weight of them as they hit the floor. The streets outside are still quiet, the town's workers slowly beginning to stir. The air is thick with anticipation, though no one speaks of it aloud. Everyone is heading to the mine, and no one is really looking forward to it. But it's what you do. It's all you know. The walk to the mine seems shorter today. Or perhaps you're just too tired to care. The sky above is still grey, the clouds hanging low, as if the weather itself is weighed down by the hard work of those below. The entrance to the mine stands before you, as imposing as ever. The darkness beneath it feels endless, like a yawning mouth that wants to swallow you whole. You know the drill. Down you go, into the belly of the earth, to dig, to sweat, to work. The lift is already waiting, and with a resigned sigh, you step inside, the metal cage creaking as it lowers you into the depths once again. The deeper you go, the more your senses dull. The light from the surface fades into nothing, leaving only the soft glow of the lanterns to guide your way. The air is thick with coal dust, the smell of earth and sweat filling your nostrils. It's almost suffocating, but you've learned to breathe through it. You arrive at the bottom, and the familiar sounds of the mine surround you, the echo of pickaxes, the murmurs of your fellow miners, the steady rhythm of work. The darkness here is complete, as if the earth itself is holding its breath. You set to work, the pickaxe in your hands, the familiar strain of the task comforting in its predictability. You're not alone in your thoughts today. As the day progresses, your mind drifts to the surface. You think about home, about the fleeting moments of peace you get when you're not down here. You think about your family, your wife, the children. You think about how, for a brief time, you can forget the weight of the coal, the dust, the danger. But those thoughts are brief. They're a distraction. You can't afford to let your mind wander for long. The mine is a place that demands your full attention, and today, it feels more oppressive than usual. As the hours drag on, the physical toll begins to show. Your hands are raw, your back aches, and your head is beginning to throb with the pressure of the work. The rhythmic sound of the pickaxe against coal is almost hypnotic, but even that can't numb the ache in your body. The weight of the mine is heavy, and sometimes it feels like it might crush you, like you'll never see the surface again. But then the bell rings. The first shift is over. The briefest of pauses in the work, a chance to catch your breath, to let your muscles relax, if only for a moment. You stretch, feeling the tension in your body, and for a second, you think you might have a moment of rest. But you know better. This break is fleeting. The work isn't done until the last of the coal has been mined, and even then, you know it's only a temporary reprieve. The work of the mine will always be there, waiting for you. You take a drink of water, wiping the sweat from your brow. The other miners are moving around you, some talking, others just focusing on their next task. The mine is a place of both camaraderie and isolation. You might be surrounded by others, but each miner is alone in the depths. There's no real conversation, no real connection. It's just work, and then more work. As the second shift starts, you can feel the fatigue weighing on your body. The day stretches on. You focus on the task, the swing of the pickaxe, the endless motion. The mine is a place where time doesn't exist. It's always the same, always dark, always heavy. You wonder if you'll ever escape it. Will you spend the rest of your days in this place, buried beneath the earth? The thought lingers in your mind, but doesn't last long. You push it away, like you always do. There's no point in dwelling on things you can't change. The bell rings again, signaling the end of your shift. You've made it through another day. Exhausted, sore, and covered in grime, you gather your tools and head back to the lift. The ascent is just as slow as the descent, but it feels different now. You're going back to the surface, back to the world above. The sun is low in the sky, casting a warm golden light over the town. As you step back into the world of the living, you walk home, your feet dragging. But there's something comforting about it. The town is quieter now, the evening settling in. You think about your family, about the meal that awaits. It's not much, but it's yours. It's a brief moment of respite before you head back to the mine tomorrow. Tomorrow, the cycle starts again. Another day in the mine, another round of pickaxes and coal dust. But for now, you can rest. For now, you're home. The next day arrives with all the weight of the days that came before it. Your body, still sore from yesterday's exertions, doesn't protest quite as loudly, though it's clear that the toll of the mine is beginning to leave its mark. You don't need an alarm clock. Your body has already learned when it's time to get up. It's an unspoken rule now, a part of your life that doesn't need reminding. The day begins just as it always does, with the heavy step of a miner forced to greet the world again before the sun. You stretch and wince, feeling the deep ache in your muscles that's never quite gone away. The back, the shoulders, the legs, they're all tired. You know that today will be no different than yesterday, or the day before, or the day before that. The life of a miner doesn't allow for days off. There's work to be done, and no one else will do it for you. The smell of breakfast drifts through the house, simple but warm. Some bread, maybe a piece of cheese. It's not much, but it's enough to fuel you for the first part of the day. You don't have time for a feast. The mine is calling, and it doesn't care if you're ready. It never does. The streets outside are already busy, filled with miners making their way to the pit. There's an unspoken solidarity among you all. But there's no time for conversation. There's only the long walk to the mine, your mind filled with the same thoughts as every other miner. You don't think too much about the work ahead. You know what to expect. The darkness, the dust, the labor, the grind. As you approach the mine, the familiar sight of the lift reminds you of what lies below. You've been down there so many times now that it feels like a second home. Or maybe more like a prison. The lift creaks, and you step inside, your heart a little heavier than usual. The long drop into the earth is the same as always, but today it feels different. It's not the lift itself. It's the realization that the work is endless, that there's no escape from this life. Once at the bottom, the air is just as thick with coal dust and heat as always. The familiar sounds of pickaxes striking coal, of miners calling to one another, fill your ears. But today, you notice something. It's not the noise that gets to you. It's the silence in between, the quiet moments where the weight of the work really settles in. It's a hard thing to describe, But there are days when the mine feels like it's swallowing you whole. You get to work immediately. You have no choice. The pickaxe feels heavy in your hands, but you swing it anyway. The rhythm of the strike, the satisfying crack of coal breaking apart. It's all so familiar, so ingrained in your bones, that it doesn't take much thought anymore. You don't need to think about it. You just do it. And yet, today, something is different. The hours seem to drag on longer than usual. You glance up at the walls of the mine, at the damp stone that feels like it's closing in around you. Your thoughts wander, and for the first time in a while, you start to wonder about something more, about what might be waiting for you. If you could leave all of this behind, the idea seems impossible, like something from another life, but it's there, gnawing at the back of your mind. You don't voice it to anyone. No one does. It's a pointless thought. But for a moment, you allow yourself to think about what life might be like if you weren't a miner. Would you have a different job, a different life? You've heard stories about miners who've left the pits, who've found other ways to live. They seem like fairy tales, though, stories for the dreamers who don't understand what it's really like down here. You force yourself to focus again. It's what you do. It's all you know how to do. The pickaxe swings again, and again, and again, until your body begins to scream in protest. It's not just the muscles, it's the mind too. The repetition, the darkness, the suffocating heat, it all starts to weigh on you. But you can't stop. There's no time for stopping. The bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift. For a moment, the world seems to pause. You wipe your brow, exhausted but not quite done yet. You think about the work still to come, the hour still ahead, the endless weight of the mine. But for now, there's a small break. The other miners start to gather around, some talking, some just sitting in silence, their faces worn from the hours of labor. It's not a conversation, not really. There's no real sharing of thoughts or feelings. Just a quiet understanding that everyone here is doing the same thing. Everyone here is living the same life. The second shift begins, and you return to work. The muscles in your arms ache, and every swing of the pickaxe feels heavier than the last. Your hands are raw, your back stiff from hours of bending. But you keep going. You have to. There's no other choice. The mine is waiting for you, and there's no escape. As the hours stretch on, you can feel your energy slipping away. The repetitive nature of the work makes time feel endless. But eventually, the bell rings again, signaling the end of your shift. You've made it through another day. You gather your tools, and as the lift ascends, you start to feel the weight of the earth lifting off your shoulders. The sunlight is a harsh contrast to the darkness of the mine, but it feels good to be out in the open again. The streets are quieter now, as the town settles into the evening. You make your way home, your body sore, but your mind distracted by the thought of the evening ahead. It's time to rest. Tomorrow, the cycle begins again. The days blur into one another, each one marked only by the swing of the pickaxe, the dust in the air, the endless rhythm of work. You've grown used to the exhaustion, to the way your body aches long before you even start the day. But still, every morning, you get up, put on your boots, and head back to the mine. It's the life you've made for yourself, the life that's become as much a part of you as the coal you dig for. Today, however, feels different. Not because the work is any easier or the day any shorter, but because you can feel the heaviness of it all more keenly. Maybe it's the way the dust hangs in the air, thicker than usual, or the way the mine seems to be weighing down on you today. The walls feeling a little too close, the darkness a little too suffocating. Whatever it is, you can't shake the feeling that something has changed, even if you can't pinpoint exactly what it is. The day begins as it always does. You drag yourself out of bed, stiff from yesterday's work, but there's no time to dwell on it. You get dressed in the quiet of the morning, the familiar routine like a script you've memorized over the years. Your wife is already up, already working, already preparing for the day ahead. She doesn't say much. There's no need. The two of you have become so attuned to each other's movements, each other's silences, that there's no need for conversation. The world is too busy for conversation. You eat quickly, the food filling you just enough to keep you going. The air is cold as you step outside, the chill biting at your skin as you make your way to the mine. You glance at the other miners, their faces just as tired, just as resigned as yours. It's always the same. No one speaks much. The road to the pit is long, but it's a path you know well. It's the only path you've ever known. The mine looms ahead, as it always does. The weight of it presses down on you. Before you even step inside, you can already hear the low hum of activity beneath the earth, the sound of hammers, the faint clink of metal against stone. You step into the lift. The familiar creak as it begins its slow descent into the darkness. You've been down here countless times, but it still feels like an endless drop. Once you reach the bottom, the air is thick with dust, the darkness so complete you can almost feel it pressing against your skin. The ground beneath you is slick with moisture, and the beams overhead creak under the weight of the rock. It's a place where time seems to stop, where the world above feels so far away it might as well be another lifetime. You grab your pickaxe and set to work. It's the same as always. The swing, the strike, the grind. Your hands move almost automatically, the muscles in your arms protesting with every movement. The dust fills the air, making it hard to breathe. You wipe your forehead with the back of your hand, but the sweat only mixes with the dust, creating a layer of grime that clings to your skin. There's something different today, though. Maybe it's the weight of the air, or the feeling that the walls of the mine are closing in on you. But the work feels heavier today, like it's more than just the physical toll that's wearing you down. The darkness of the mine seems to press on your chest, the heat unbearable. Your body is aching from yesterday's labor, but it's the weight of the mine itself that seems to be crushing you now. The hours drag on, each one feeling like an eternity. The strike of the pickaxe, the crunch of the coal. It's all a blur now, the motions blending into each other. You don't think about the time. You just keep going, your body moving out of habit. The fatigue, the dust, the heat. They're all part of it now, part of the life you've made. The life that's become so familiar, it's almost like breathing. And yet, the thought creeps in again. The thought of something else, something different. You wonder, just for a moment, what it would be like to leave all of this behind. To walk away from the mine, from the dust, from the darkness. Would it be possible? Would it be worth it? You push the thought aside quickly. There's no room for such things in a miner's life. You can't afford to dream of a different life. The mine is your world. It always has been. The bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift. You feel a brief rush of relief. But it's short-lived. The work isn't over yet. You take a moment to rest, to catch your breath. The other miners gather around, their faces as wary as yours. Some of them speak quietly to each other, but you don't join in. There's nothing to say. The mine has a way of making you feel like words are unnecessary. The second shift begins, and you return to the grind. The hours stretch on, each one heavier than the last. Your body is starting to rebel, the fatigue more than just physical now. The weight of the work, the weight of the mine, it's all starting to feel like too much. But you keep going, you have to. You don't stop. The coal doesn't care if you're tired. The mine doesn't care if you're ready. You just keep working, because that's all you can do. Finally, the bell rings again, signaling the end of your shift. You gather your tools, your arms trembling with the strain of the day. The lift creaks as it begins its ascent, and as you rise from the depths, you feel the pressure of the earth lifting off your chest. The world above is waiting, but for a moment, it feels distant, like something you've almost forgotten. You step into the light, squinting as your eyes adjust to the brightness. The town is quieter now, the streets emptying as the workers return home. You make your way back, your body aching, your mind exhausted. It's a familiar feeling, one you've known for as long as you can remember. The mine takes everything it can, but you survive. You keep going. Tomorrow, you'll do it all again. Another morning. Another round of exhaustion before it even begins. The air outside your window is crisp, but your body feels heavy from the moment you wake up. The familiar stiffness in your arms. The sore muscles that refuse to leave you alone. It's a constant reminder that yesterday's work is far from done, but there's no time to reflect. The day calls, and you answer it, as you've done every other day. The world above might be waiting for you, but the mine is calling louder. You rise from bed, dragging yourself through the motions of getting ready. Your boots seem heavier today, the lace is tougher to tie. Every step feels like an effort, and you wonder, not for the first time, just how much longer your body can take this. But then the thought slips away, like it always does. You don't have the luxury of thinking about that. Not now. Not with the work to do. Your wife moves around the house, her routine just as automatic as yours. She doesn't say much, and neither do you. The silence between you is comfortable, or maybe it's just necessary. There's nothing new to say. Every morning is the same, and the evening too. The space between the two is filled with the work, the mining, the dust, the ache in your bones. It's a life, and it's the only life you know. Breakfast is quick, little more than a handful of bread, maybe a splash of milk. You don't linger over it. You never do. The work awaits, and there's no room for anything else. You step outside, feeling the chill of the morning air seep into your clothes. The town is already waking up, the streets filled with miners just like you, their faces lined with fatigue, their eyes carrying the same tired resignation. As you approach the mine, the familiar weight settles in your chest. The air, thick with the smell of coal, the dark mouth of the mine ahead. It's a grim sight, but it's home. You step into the lift, feeling the sharp creak as it begins its descent. The slow drop, the feeling of sinking deeper and deeper into the earth, becomes second nature now. You don't even flinch anymore. The bottom of the mine is just as oppressive as it always is. Thick air, dampness underfoot, and the suffocating darkness pressing in on you. It's the kind of place where time has no meaning. The mine becomes everything, and you lose yourself in it. You grab your pickaxe and get to work. The strikes, the rhythm, the sweat, it all blurs into one. You've done this so many times now that you don't need to think about it. Your body knows what to do. But today, the heaviness is more than usual. The motions are slower, the fatigue deeper. Your arms ache with each swing, and the air feels thicker. The dust, as always, clings to everything. It gets into your throat, your eyes. Every breath you take feels like you're swallowing dirt. As the hours pass, it starts to feel like the mine is swallowing you whole. The work is monotonous, endless. The same motions over and over again. You think back to when you first started, when the idea of spending your life like this seemed impossible. But here you are, all these years later, doing the same thing, day in and day out. The dream of something more has faded into the background, buried beneath the weight of the coal, the rock, the dust. You glance up, catching sight of the other miners. They look just as tired as you feel. Some of them work quietly, lost in their own thoughts. Others talk in low murmurs, their voices blending with the sounds of the mine, the quiet hum of work. No one talks much. There's nothing left to say. Everyone is just trying to survive. The thought creeps in again, the one you've had 1,000 times before. What if you could leave? What if you didn't have to come back here tomorrow? The idea seems ridiculous, impossible, even. The mine is your life. It's all you know. And yet, the thought lingers. A fleeting moment of hope, of something more, of a life that doesn't revolve around coal dust and endless work. But you push it away. It doesn't matter. There's no way out. The work has to be done, and it doesn't care if you're tired or if you're dreaming of something else. The bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift. A brief moment of respite. You can't help but let out a sigh of relief. You wipe the sweat from your brow, your muscles screaming for rest. But the rest doesn't last long. You gather your tools, and the second shift begins. The work continues, hour after hour. The exhaustion starts to feel like it's crawling under your skin, seeping into your bones. But there's no choice but to keep going. It's what you do. It's what everyone does down here. The bell rings once more, signaling the end of the shift. You can hardly believe the day is over, though you feel like it's been dragging on forever. Your body is broken, aching from the hours of labor. You gather your things, your tools heavy in your hands. The lift creaks as it pulls you back toward the surface. The air is cooler now, the sunlight harsh after the darkness of the mine. You step out, feeling the weight of the earth slowly lift off your shoulders. The town is quieter now, the evening setting in. You walk home, your steps slow and heavy, your thoughts far away. You'll rest for now. But tomorrow, you'll do it all again. Because that's what you do. That's what the mine has become a part of you. You can't escape it, and so, tomorrow, the cycle begins again. Another day dawns, and as always, the pull of the mine is inescapable. The world outside feels softer, quieter, compared to the raw, grating existence you face below ground. The daylight spills weakly through your window, hinting at the beauty of the outside world. But it's all just a tease. The day begins, and with it comes the inevitable sense of heaviness that settles over your body as you prepare for what's ahead. You've lost track of how many days like this one have passed. How many mornings you've woken up with the same ache in your bones, the same weariness in your heart. The bed feels colder today, and the walls of your home seem to close in tighter. You stretch, trying to loosen the stiffness in your back, but the effort feels futile. Your body has learned to carry the weight of this work, but it's starting to protest more and more. The routine is automatic now. Get up, get dressed, eat something quick, though it's never much. The weight of the work that awaits you feels heavy in the pit of your stomach. You can feel it in the quiet mornings, the seconds ticking away, urging you forward, even when every part of you wants to stay in bed, to escape the cycle for just a little while longer. Your wife is already up, already moving through the tasks of the day. There's no time to chat. No time for pleasantries. It's like the both of you are running on autopilot, each of you existing in your own routine, bound by the same heavy reality. Her face, like yours, is tired. There are lines there that weren't there before, and you know it's the work, the constant strain of survival, that has carved them into her features. The walk to the mine is long, and today, it feels longer than usual. The town is quiet, too quiet, as the workers all make their way to the pit, their faces tired but resigned. It's as if no one dares speak about the toll this life takes on all of you. The only sounds are the shuffle of boots against the cobblestone, and the distant creak of the lift waiting to lower everyone into the earth. You arrive at the entrance to the mine, the dark maw opening before you, waiting to swallow you whole. The familiar lump of dread settles in your throat, but you push it away. It doesn't matter how you feel. The work has to be done, and you're the one who has to do it. The lift creaks as it lowers you, as it always does, the sound of your descent so familiar now that you've come to accept it as part of the ritual. You can't escape the pit. Not now, not ever. The deeper you go, the less you can feel the weight of the world above. The air gets heavier, the darkness darker, and you know that the day ahead will feel like an eternity. You arrive at the bottom, the world around you lit by the dim flicker of lanterns. The mine is a place of shadows, and every corner feels suffocating. You take a deep breath, steeling yourself for the work to come. The pickaxe feels cold in your hands, but it's the tool you know best. It's your way of surviving. The first swing of the pickaxe is always the hardest. The weight of it settling into your body, your mind focused solely on the task. The sound of it striking the coal is like a beat, a rhythm you fall into without thinking. The hours drag on, but the work remains the same. Strike after strike. The dust clings to your skin, to your lungs, to your very soul. The mine doesn't let you forget it. It's a constant reminder of what you do, who you are. You're a miner. That's it. That's all you can be. The rest of the world seems to fade away as you lose yourself in the repetition. Each swing of the pickaxe is a way of marking time, a way of making it through another day. But today feels different. Maybe it's the weight of the air, or the unrelenting ache in your back, but it's as if the very earth beneath your feet is pressing down on you. It's suffocating, and there's no escape from it. You look around at the other miners, their faces as grim as yours. They're all here, just like you, doing the same thing day after day. Some of them are talking, but their voices are drowned out by the noise of the work. The mine makes everything else seem distant, muted. For a moment, you let your mind wander, and the thought comes back to you. What if you left? What if you didn't have to do this anymore? It's a fleeting thought, and you chase it away almost immediately. It's too ridiculous, too impossible. The mine is your life. It's always been your life. And for a moment, you wonder if it's too late to want something else, to dream of something else. You push the thought down, but it lingers. You keep working, the rhythmic strike of the pickaxe keeping you grounded. There's no room for distractions here. The mind doesn't care about your dreams, your desires. It only cares about the work. The hours slip by in a haze. You can't even remember when the first shift ended, only that you're still here, still doing the same thing, still buried under the weight of it all. When the bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift, there's a brief moment of quiet. It's almost like a pause, but you know it won't last long. The second shift awaits. You gather your tools, your hands aching, your body begging for rest. But there's no rest here. The work must continue. The mine has a way of making you feel like there's no end. The shifts come and go, but the work is eternal. It is a cycle, a loop that you can't escape. No matter how tired you are, no matter how much you wish for a different life, the mine is always there, waiting for you. The second shift comes, and you push yourself back into the rhythm. The hours stretch on, but it's all the same. Swing, strike, repeat. You wonder, in a distant corner of your mind, how much longer this can go on. You push the thought away. There's no time for it now. Finally, the bell rings again, the end of the shift. You can't remember how many hours have passed, only that you've made it through. The lift carries you back up to the surface, back into the world of light, the world of air that doesn't feel as suffocating as the mine. But the heaviness of the day doesn't lift. It lingers in your bones, in your thoughts. You walk home, your body aching, your mind too tired to think. Tomorrow, you'll do it again. The sun rises again, but it doesn't feel like a new day. Not really. Each morning is just a reminder that another one is waiting for you. Another cycle of exhaustion, another round of pickaxes and coal dust. The comfort of sleep is fleeting, a momentary escape from the grind. But as soon as you wake, it's back to reality. The endless repetition of work, of survival. You get up, feeling the weight of the day press down on you, before your feet even hit the floor. It's the same soreness as always, the same dull ache in your back, in your arms. It's as if the fatigue is woven into the very fabric of your body now, a part of you that can't be shaken off, no matter how hard you try. There's no real desire to get up, but you do anyway. The world outside may look calm, peaceful even, but you know better. There's a mine waiting for you, and the day is not yours to decide. You move through the motions. Get dressed, grab a bite, pull on your boots. Your mind is already a few steps ahead, preparing for the day. You can't afford to linger. You can't afford to waste time. Your wife is already up, already moving, her face tired as she gets the day started. There's nothing to say. She's as wary as you are, just trying to get through the day. You share a glance, a silent understanding. There's nothing more to add. The work is all-consuming. It doesn't care about the moments between. You step outside, the cold morning air biting at your skin. The town is waking up slowly, but the streets are already full of miners, all of you heading to the same place. You share no words as you walk, No real acknowledgement of the others around you. You're all in the same boat. You're all walking the same path. There's no need to speak. The mind will speak for all of you. As you approach the entrance, the familiar sight of the dark cavern looms ahead. The thought of descending into the earth again sends a shiver down your spine. But there's no room for hesitation. This is your life, and the pit doesn't wait for anyone. The lift waits for you, its creaks and groans the same as always. You climb in, the slow descent taking you farther away from the world above, farther into the dark, suffocating depths. The mine is waiting. The work is waiting. There's no time for anything else. Once at the bottom, you're enveloped in the usual haze of dust, the air thick with coal and moisture. It's heavy down here, and it gets heavier with every passing minute. You can feel the weight of it in your chest, the pressure building with every breath. You adjust your scarf around your nose and set to work. The first strike of the pickaxe feels like it could tear you in two, but you push through it, as you always do. The rhythm of the work comes easily, even if your body is already starting to ache. The dark stretches out around you, and the noises of the other miners become background noise to the labor. It's just the work. And the work doesn't stop for anyone. You think back to your first days in the mine, back when everything was new, when the weight of the darkness felt like a cruel joke. But now, it's all too familiar. The hours are measured in swings of the pickaxe, in the scrape of metal on stone. The coal doesn't care how tired you are, how much your body protests. The mine doesn't care. It just wants what it needs. The hours blend together, and you lose track of time. The motions become automatic. Swing, strike, breathe, repeat. Each minute feels like an eternity, each hour dragging on. Your body screams for rest, but there's no time for that. Not here, not in the mine. The work is endless, and the mine seems to stretch on forever. The deeper you go, the more you lose yourself in it. It's as if the mine is swallowing you whole, consuming your thoughts, your body, your very essence. You start to wonder if there's a way out, if there's anything more than this. But those thoughts are fleeting. The work is in front of you. The mine is all there is. At some point, the bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift. For a brief moment, the world stops, the noise fades, and you let out a breath you didn't realize you were holding. You wipe the sweat and grime from your forehead. But it doesn't matter. The dust sticks to you like a second skin. You gather your tools, your muscles stiff from the labor, and prepare for the second shift. There's no time to rest. You're not finished yet. The second shift will bring the same work, the same strain, the same dark exhaustion. But you do it anyway, because you have to. The bell rings again when the shift ends, and you feel the weight of the day settling into your bones. The lift creaks as it begins its slow ascent, and for a moment, you allow yourself to breathe easier. The light of the surface is a harsh contrast to the suffocating dark of the mine. But it's a relief nonetheless. You step back into the world above, the air fresh but heavy with the weight of the day. You walk home slowly, your body heavy with the exhaustion that clings to you like a second skin. You think about your family, about the brief respite of the evening that awaits. But even then, you know it's temporary. Tomorrow, the cycle will start again. Tomorrow, you'll be back in the mine. Morning comes with the same predictable weight. It's still dark when you wake, the room too quiet, the bed too warm to leave. For a fleeting second, you wonder if today might be different. Maybe today will bring something new, something better. But as you stretch and feel the familiar aches in your back and shoulders, the reality sets in. No, today will be like every other day. The sunlight, or rather, the weak grey light of the morning, leaks through your window, casting long shadows across the room. The first few moments after you wake are always the hardest. The heaviness of the day ahead pressing down on you. Before you even get up, the fatigue from the previous day is still with you, making your body feel like it's sinking deeper into the bed. But there's no time for rest. The mine calls, and no one gets to ignore its call. Your wife is already up, as always. Her face is drawn with exhaustion, and you don't need to say a word. There's no need. You both know what awaits. She moves with practiced efficiency, preparing the morning meal, while you slip into your work clothes and get ready for the long walk ahead. The house is filled with the sounds of a day beginning, but you feel as though you're already halfway to the mine, mentally preparing yourself for the endless repetition that lies ahead. You share a quiet moment before you leave, but it's never anything more than a brief exchange of glances. There's no need for anything else. Words can't change what this life has become. The work is the same, and so is the silence between you two. It's a silence of shared understanding, of shared wariness. The walk to the mine is just as long as it was yesterday. It feels as though your steps are carrying you through the motions, each footfall sinking deeper into the routine. The town is already starting to bustle, but the streets still feel cold and distant. The sound of miners heading to the pits fills the air, but there's no camaraderie in it. It's just the hum of a tired machine, each worker moving toward the same fate. As you approach the entrance to the mine, the same knot forms in your stomach. The dark mouth of the pit feels like it's swallowing you whole before you even step inside. The lift awaits, its creaks and groans a constant reminder of the journey to come. You've taken this descent 1,000 times, and yet, each time, it feels just as unnerving as the first. The weight of the earth presses in as the lift takes you down, your senses slowly dulling as the light above fades into nothing. You know what awaits you at the bottom. Coal dust, the oppressive heat, and the long hours of work that stretch ahead. You think for a moment about how long this has been your life. The darkness, the sweat, the ache. It's all so familiar now, too familiar. There's no room for dreams here. The mine doesn't leave space for anything else. The bottom of the mine greets you as always, the air thick with dust, the ground slick beneath your boots. You grab your pickaxe, feeling the familiar weight of it in your hands. The work begins almost automatically, your body moving through the motions as though it's been pre-programmed. You swing, strike, repeat. Each movement is so deeply ingrained in you now that you don't have to think about it anymore. You just do it. The hours blend together in a haze of muscle and dust, the rhythm of the pickaxe keeping you grounded. The work is grueling, but it's what you do. It's the only thing you know how to do. The physical toll is evident in the aches that begin to form in your arms, your back, your legs. But there's no time to think about that. You push through the exhaustion. You have to. There's a point, about halfway through the shift, when you start to feel the weight of the day settle deeper into your bones. The dust seems thicker today, as if the very air is pressing in on you, making each breath harder to take. Your lungs are raw from inhaling it, your skin is caked in grime. But there's no relief in sight. The work has to be done. For a brief moment, you wonder why you do it. Why keep going? What's the point of it all? The thought lingers, but you push it aside. You know better than to entertain such questions. The mind doesn't care about why. It only cares about the work. And so, you continue, just like everyone else, just like you always have. The bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift, and you almost can't believe it. For a moment, you think the whole day has been lost in the haze of labor, but somehow you've made it through. You take a deep breath, the air feeling lighter, even if only for a moment. The other miners move around you, some heading off to rest, others preparing for the second shift. You gather your tools, your hands stiff from the strain of the day. The second shift begins, and you fall back into the rhythm of the work. It's as if the world outside the mine doesn't exist anymore. The only thing that matters is the task in front of you. The hours drag on, each one feeling heavier than the last. Your body aches, your thoughts grow muddled with exhaustion. You're not sure how long you've been down here anymore. All you can think about is the work, the pickaxe, the next strike of coal. There's no escape from it. Not today. Not any day. The bell rings again, signaling the end of the shift. You've made it through another day. Your body is broken, your mind too tired to think. But somehow, you've survived. You head back to the surface, your steps slow, your body aching, but your mind numb. The light above is harsh after the darkness of the mine, but it's a relief. You step back into the world, but it feels far away, distant, like it doesn't quite belong to you anymore. Tomorrow, you'll do it again. The morning greets you again with the same unrelenting rhythm. You wake to the cool touch of the air, the faint light of day, barely creeping through your window. It's not the warmth of a new day that pulls you out of bed. It's just the weight of the routine that's become second nature. Every morning feels the same. There's no sense of excitement, no sense of anything but the work. Your body is heavy, sore from the day before, and yet you still rise. There's no choice. The mine is calling, and you can't ignore it. The ache in your back is a familiar companion. The stiffness in your legs, a constant reminder of yesterday's labor. You stretch and wince, but the feeling is only temporary. It always is. You slip into your clothes, the same clothes you've worn every day. The boots feel heavier now, the fabric worn, but they still hold firm. You grab a quick bite, barely enough to satisfy the hunger gnawing at your stomach. But it's all you can afford, all you have time for. The work is waiting. Your wife is already up, the quiet hum of her movements in the background. She's used to this, just like you are. There's no need for conversation anymore. The rhythm of life has become a series of motions. Wake up, get dressed, eat, head to the mine. It's become so automatic that there's no real need to speak. The silence between you two is full of unspoken understanding. You share a brief moment before you leave, a glance, a nod, and then you're off. The walk to the mine feels like it takes longer every day. The weight of the world above presses down on you, but it's nothing compared to the weight that waits for you below. The town is already bustling with miners, all of you heading to the same place, to the same fate. It's not a life of choice, it's a life of necessity. And you walk this path without question, as you always have. As you approach the mine, the familiar knot in your stomach tightens. The dark entrance looms ahead, and you feel it pulling you in, deeper and deeper, like it always does. The lift waits, creaking and groaning as it prepares to take you down. You don't hesitate. You step in, knowing what's ahead, knowing what you're walking into. The descent is slow. Too slow, but it doesn't matter. The deeper you go, the more the light fades, the air grows thicker, heavier. You don't even notice the sound of the lift anymore. It's just part of the routine, part of the ritual that begins every day. When you reach the bottom, the familiar weight of the mine greets you. Dust in the air, dampness on the floor, darkness pressing in from every side. You gather your tools, feeling the weight of the pickaxe in your hands. It's an old, worn tool now, but it's still yours. You swing it, the first strike always feeling the heaviest, but you push through. The rhythm begins, and soon, it's like your body knows exactly what to do. Swing, strike, breathe, repeat. The hours blur together, each one passing like the last. You don't think much about the work. There's no time for that. The mind doesn't leave room for deep thoughts, only action. Your body moves. Your hands grip the pickaxe. Your muscles ache with each movement. The dust fills the air, makes it hard to breathe, but you've learned to push it down, to ignore it. The work must continue. Time passes, but you don't keep track of it. You stop thinking about how long you've been down here. It's irrelevant. You just keep swinging, the sound of the pickaxe cutting through the coal your only company. The mine is your world now. You live by its rules, you survive by its demands. And then, as always, the bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift. A brief respite, but it's never enough. You gather your tools, feeling the weight of the day in your bones, your body begging for relief. But the work isn't done. The second shift is waiting, and so are you. You take a quick drink of water, trying to shake off the exhaustion, but it clings to you like a second skin. The hours are long, the work is grueling, but you keep going. The second shift feels like it stretches on forever, each moment dragging, each swing of the pickaxe feeling heavier than the last. But there's no room for stopping. Not today. Not ever. The bell rings again, signaling the end of your shift. You're not sure how much time has passed, but you know you've made it through another day. The lift takes you back to the surface, back into the light, and for a brief moment, you feel the weight of the earth lifting from your shoulders. The town is quieter now, the streets emptying as the workers head home. You make your way back, your body aching, your mind numb. You think about your family, about the short time you'll have to rest before tomorrow's shift. But even that relief feels fleeting. Tomorrow, the work will begin again. The pickaxe will wait for you. And so, you return to your home, to the same routine that awaits. Tomorrow, the cycle will start over. And you will do it again, because that's what you do. That's what the mine has become. A part of you. A life you can't escape. Tomorrow, it will be the same. Another day. Another chance to lose yourself in the endless grind. You wake, your body stiff from yesterday's labor, but you've learned not to question it. There's no point. The work must be done. Your eyes flutter open, the dim light of dawn spilling over your bed, but the warmth is fleeting. There's no time for comfort here. The mine is waiting, just as it always does. You rise slowly, every movement feeling like a reminder of the weight that's been placed on your shoulders. Your back aches from the constant strain, your arms heavy from hours of swinging the pickaxe. But there's no room for complaints. No room for weakness. You put on your boots, pull on the same clothes you've worn for countless days, and prepare yourself for the inevitable. Breakfast is quick and silent. There's little time for anything else. The simple meal fills your stomach just enough. But you can feel the weariness creeping in even before you step outside. The air is colder this morning, the town still quiet, as the first rays of sunlight struggle to break through the clouds. You step outside, feeling the chill cut through your jacket, but you don't hesitate. The town is starting to stir, miners heading to the pits, their footsteps the only sound in the stillness. The walk to the mine feels like a march now. It's not the walk of someone who has the luxury of choice. It's the walk of someone bound to the same fate as the others. No words are spoken between the miners, the silence as thick as the dust that fills the pit. You can see it in their faces, tired, worn, and resigned. The mine is their world, just as it's yours. You arrive at the mine's entrance, the dark opening yawning before you. You hesitate for only a moment before stepping inside. There's no time for fear, no time for doubt. The lift awaits, and it's time to descend again. To give yourself over to the work, to become a part of the earth you've come to know so well. The journey down is slow, the weight of the lift pulling you deeper into the earth. The familiar chill of the underground air greets you when you arrive. The dust, the dark, the damp. It's all as it has been for as long as you can remember. You grab your pickaxe, and without thinking, you start to work. The rhythm takes over almost immediately. Swing, strike, breathe, repeat. The work is as relentless as it always has been. The dust hangs in the air, thick and suffocating, and with each breath, you can feel it settling into your lungs. Your muscles are sore before you even begin, but the ache in your body doesn't matter. The work doesn't care if you're tired, if you're hurting. The mine is indifferent. It only demands. Your hands move automatically, the pickaxe striking coal with a sound that's become as familiar as your own heartbeat. The hours blur together in a haze of sweat and dirt. The work doesn't stop, so neither do you. Each swing of the pickaxe feels heavier, each moment more difficult to endure, but you press on. You've learned that it's all you can do. You glance around at the other miners, their faces as grim as yours. Some of them are talking, but most are lost in their own thoughts, just as you are. The mine is a place of isolation, even when you're surrounded by people. It's a shared experience of hardship, but it doesn't make the work any easier. There's a quiet understanding between you all. You're all just trying to make it through. As the hours drag on, your body begins to protest more loudly. Your arms feel like lead, Your back is stiff, and the dust feels like it's crawling under your skin. But you don't stop. You can't. There's no time to rest, no time to think. The rhythm of the pickaxe is the only thing that keeps you going. Swing, strike, breathe. Swing, strike, breathe. And then, almost unexpectedly, the bell rings. The first shift is over. The world pauses for a moment, the noise of the work fading into a dull hum. You take a deep breath, the air feeling slightly easier to take in. But the relief is only temporary. The second shift awaits, and you gather your tools, already preparing yourself for the continuation of the same task. You don't think about the day's work anymore. It's just the cycle, the rhythm that dictates everything. The second shift begins, and you step back into the motions. The hours stretch on, but the work feels like it's never ending. Swing, strike, breathe, it's all you know. Eventually, the bell rings again, signaling the end of the shift. You've made it through, your body aching, your mind numb. The lift carries you back to the surface, and for a moment, the light of the outside world feels almost foreign, too bright, too loud. You step back into the town, the world above, and yet, you feel disconnected from it. The mine has consumed you, as it consumes everyone who works there. You walk home, your body exhausted, your thoughts empty. The rest of the world feels distant, like something you can't quite reach. You know tomorrow will be the same. You know the work will continue, as it always does. But for tonight, you can rest. For tonight, you're home. Tomorrow, the cycle will begin again. The dawn comes too soon, as it always does. You wake to the same stiffness in your body, the same heavy ache that has become a constant companion. The bed is cold now, the sheets crumpled from restless sleep. There's no sense of peace in these mornings. Only the pull of the work, the knowledge that the mine waits for you. You stretch, groaning as the familiar discomfort settles in. Your body feels like it's been through the ringer. But the work doesn't care about soreness. It doesn't care about how much sleep you've had, or how much pain you're in. It just demands, as it always does. You rise slowly, each movement a reminder that yesterday's labor isn't over. It's embedded in your bones. The day is already on its way, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. You get dressed, your clothes stiff with wear, your boots heavy as you slip them on. The chill of the morning air bites at your skin as you step outside, but there's no time to dwell on the discomfort. The town is stirring, but the sound of miners heading to the pit is the only noise you hear. Your wife is already awake, already tending to the morning chores. The silence between you two has become familiar, a language of its own. There's no need to say much anymore. The routine is enough. She doesn't ask how you feel, and you don't ask her. You both know what tomorrow holds. You both know what the next day will be, and the one after that. The walk to the mine feels longer today, though you know it's no different from yesterday. The weight of the world presses down on you as you move through the streets. Your body heavy with fatigue. Your mind already bracing for the hours ahead. The mine is ahead, as it always is, the dark opening waiting for you to step inside and begin again. The lift is there, the same creaks, the same journey down into the earth. You feel it every time. The pull of the weight as it drags you farther away from the surface, from the world above. It's a slow, inevitable descent, and you know it well by now. The mine is dark, always dark, with the air thick and oppressive. But this time, it feels even more suffocating. Maybe it's the fatigue, maybe it's just the repetition, but today, the mine feels even more overwhelming. You pick up your pickaxe, feeling the familiar grip of it in your hands. The first swing feels heavy, like the weight of the whole day has already settled on your shoulders. But you press on. Swing, strike, breathe. The work is the same, the motion's ingrained in you now, so automatic you barely have to think. But today, something is different. There's a weariness in your bones that feels deeper than the usual fatigue. The dust in the air is thicker, the heat more oppressive, and the darkness feels like it's closing in around you. You glance around at the other miners. Their faces as tired as yours, their bodies bent, with the weight of the work. Some of them are talking in low voices, but most are lost in their own thoughts, just like you. There's an understanding among you all. The mine doesn't care about anything but the work. The same thought crosses your mind again, one that you've tried to ignore for so long. What if there was something else? But you don't allow yourself to linger on it. The thought is pointless. The mind doesn't leave room for dreams, for hope, for anything but the work. It's the same every day. The same rhythm, the same motions. You strike the coal again, and again, and again, until it feels like your arms are moving of their own accord, your body just going through the motions. The hours drag on. You don't know how long you've been down here. You don't know how many swings you've made, or how many pieces of coal you've broken apart. The work is endless, and you're starting to feel like you might never reach the end. The darkness around you is almost suffocating, and the weight of it presses down on your chest. But you keep going. You have no choice. The work must be done. The bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift, and you feel a brief flicker of relief, but it's fleeting. You know that the second shift will bring the same thing, the same labor, the same exhaustion. The cycle continues. You gather your tools, your hands sore, your back aching, and prepare for the next round of work. You push through the second shift, but it feels heavier than ever. Your body is screaming for rest, but there's no time. The coal needs to be mined. The hours stretch on, each one dragging you further into the rhythm of the work. Swing, strike, breathe. The exhaustion piles up, but the work is never finished. The bell rings again, signaling the end of the shift, and you can hardly believe it. The weight of the day lifts only slightly, but it's enough to make you feel a sense of accomplishment. The lift creaks as it pulls you back to the surface, back to the world above. But even as you leave the mine behind for the moment, it lingers in your thoughts. You know it will be there tomorrow, waiting for you to return. You walk home, each step heavy with exhaustion, but you keep moving. The town is quiet now, the streets emptying as the miners head to their homes. You think about your family, about the small comforts of the evening. But there's a part of you that knows you'll be right back at it tomorrow, doing the same thing, swinging the same pickaxe in the same dark pit. Tomorrow, the cycle will start again. The day begins as if on cue, dragging you from the comfort of sleep into the harshness of reality. You wake, the familiar ache in your body reminding you of the work that's waiting. The sun has barely risen, and yet you already feel the weight of the day pressing down on you. It's not the warmth of the sun that gets you up. It's the cold, hard truth that you can't avoid the mine. You stretch, groaning as the stiffness in your joints refuses to loosen. Your arms, your back, your legs. Everything feels worn down, as if the previous day never ended, as if the labor has already seeped into your bones. But there's no time to linger on it. The mine calls, and no one can escape its pull. You move through the morning routine like an automaton. Get dressed, eat something simple, put on your boots. The weight of the inevitable feels heavier today, but that's just the way of things. There's no room for softness in this life. The mind demands everything, and it doesn't care how tired you are, how much you wish for a break. Your wife is already up when you step into the kitchen. Her movements quick and efficient, as she prepares a meager breakfast. The silence between you two is comfortable now. There's nothing left to say. The days are all the same. You don't need to speak to know what the other is thinking. The mine is the center of everything, and everything revolves around it. You share a glance, a small, fleeting moment of connection before you head out the door. The town is already starting to stir. The miners trickling into the streets, their faces tired, their steps heavy. The walk to the mine is just as long as it always is, the cold air biting at your skin. But it's nothing compared to the coldness of what lies ahead. The entrance to the mine looms ahead. It's darkness swallowing the world. You can't avoid it. You step into the lift, and it begins its slow descent into the earth, carrying you farther away from the world above. The lift's creaking becomes a familiar sound, but today, it feels different. The weight of it, the slowness of the descent. It's like you're sinking deeper into the pit with every passing second. When you reach the bottom, the air is thick with dust, and the ground beneath your boots is damp. The darkness presses in on you, and you pull your scarf over your face, trying to block out the worst of it, but it doesn't help. The mine is everywhere, and there's no escape from it. You grab your pickaxe, and you get to work. The first strike always feels the hardest, the weight of it hitting your shoulders, like an immediate reminder of everything you're doing. You don't think about it. You can't. If you did, you might not be able to keep going. So, you keep swinging, your body moving through the motions, each swing and strike becoming automatic. The hours stretch on, one after the other. You don't count them. You don't keep track. Time doesn't matter down here. There's only the work. The air is thick with coal dust, and you can feel it settling into your lungs, thick and heavy. You cough, but it does little to clear it out. The dust is everywhere. It's in your skin, your clothes, your lungs. You wonder how much of it you can take before it gets to be too much. But the thought slips away almost as quickly as it came. The work is never finished. It must continue. You glance around at the other miners, their faces caked in grime, their bodies hunched over in the same way you are. They too are lost in the work. Some of them talk quietly, but most are too focused, too caught in the rhythm to speak. It's a solitary experience, even when you're surrounded by people. Each man is alone in this, just as you are. Hours pass, but they feel like days. The work is draining, but there's no stopping. Swing, strike, breathe. Swing, strike, breathe. The rhythm becomes hypnotic, and you lose yourself in it, unable to think of anything else. Your body aches, but it's not the pain that matters. It's the work, and the work must be done. Eventually, the bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift. A brief moment of respite. But you can't quite bring yourself to feel relief. The second shift is coming, and the work is never truly over. You gather your tools and prepare for the next round of labor. The muscles in your arms scream for a break, but you keep moving. You don't have time to stop. The second shift is a blur. The work is no easier, no lighter. Your body is exhausted, but you push through. The mine is relentless, and so are you. The hours stretch on, and it feels as though you'll never escape. But eventually, the bell rings again, signaling the end of the day. You've survived another shift, but it doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like survival. The lift pulls you back up to the surface, and for a moment, the daylight feels almost blinding. The contrast between the darkness below and the brightness above is disorienting. You step out into the world again, the air fresh but harsh against your skin. The town is quieter now, the streets emptying as miners head home to rest before the next round of labor. You walk home, your steps heavy with the exhaustion of the day. Your mind is numb, and you can barely focus on anything. You think about your family, about the small comforts of home, but they seem distant, like they belong to another world. The world of the mine is all-consuming. It's all you know, all you can focus on. Tomorrow, the cycle will begin again. The work will continue. And you will be there, just like always. The first rays of dawn push through your window, faint and indifferent. You stir, your eyes flickering open, but the weight of the world presses on you even before you rise. The day has already begun for your body, even if your mind is still lingering in the fog of sleep. The ache in your back is familiar now, and you know it will only grow worse with each passing hour. But you get up anyway, because that's what you do. You don't have a choice. The bed is cold beneath you as you stretch, your muscles stiff from yesterday's work. Every part of you feels like it's already been used, stretched thin, worn down. But the mind doesn't care about how you feel. The pickaxe is waiting, and the earth will swallow you whole when you step into its dark embrace. There's no room for hesitation, no time for doubt. The mine needs you, and you need to survive. You move through the motions of the morning with practiced efficiency. Get dressed, eat something small, pull on your boots. The world outside is starting to wake up. but it feels distant, a place you only visit briefly before descending back into the pit. Your wife doesn't speak much, but you can see it in her eyes. The same tired resignation that's been there for years. She gets up to prepare the meal, just as she has done every day. The silence between you two is thick, filled with the unspoken knowledge that this is your life now, and there's no escape from it. The walk to the mine is as long as it always is. The chill in the air bites at your skin, but you don't feel it anymore. The cold is nothing compared to the weight that hangs over you as you make your way through the streets. The other miners pass by, their faces grim, their eyes hollow with exhaustion. There's no time for conversation, no time for pleasantries. You all have the same destination, the same fate, and you all know it. You reach the entrance to the mine, and there it is. The yawning darkness, waiting to swallow you up. The lift creaks as it prepares to lower you into the depths, but you don't hesitate. You've made this journey countless times, and it's no less terrifying than it was the first time. The descent is slow, the silence of the mine pressing in around you like a heavy weight. When you reach the bottom, the air is thick with dust, and the darkness is absolute. The only sounds are the distant echoes of other miners working, the scrape of pickaxes, the groan of wood and stone. You pull your scarf up to cover your nose and get to work. The pickaxe feels cold in your hands, but you know it well. It's become an extension of yourself, a tool you wield without thought. The first swing of the pickaxe always feels the hardest, but you push through. The rhythm of the work takes over, and soon you don't need to think anymore. Swing, strike, breathe. Swing, strike, breathe. The hours stretch on, one after the other, the monotony of it all seeping into your bones. The dust fills the air, thick and suffocating. You cough, but the dust doesn't leave. It sticks to your lungs, your skin, your soul. You glance at the other miners, their faces covered in grime, their bodies hunched under the weight of the work. They are just like you, tired, broken, resigned to the endless labor. The thought creeps in again, as it always does. What if you could leave? What if there was a way out of this? But you shove it aside quickly. It's not worth thinking about. The mind doesn't leave room for dreams, for wishes. The work is all there is. The earth demands it, and you give it. Time passes, but it doesn't feel real. The minutes stretch on. The hours blend into each other. You don't know how long you've been here. You don't know how many swings of the pickaxe you've made. It doesn't matter. There's no end in sight. The mind swallows time, and you're just a part of its endless rhythm. The bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift, but it's only a brief respite. The second shift looms, and you know there's no escape from it. You gather your tools, your muscles stiff from the strain, and prepare to dive back into the work. The second shift brings no relief. The rhythm continues, the hours stretch on, and the earth demands more. You give it. By the time the bell rings again, signaling the end of the day, you can hardly believe it. The exhaustion weighs heavily on your body, but there's a brief flicker of relief. You've survived another day, but it doesn't feel like an accomplishment. It just feels like survival. The lift carries you back to the surface, and you step into the world above, your eyes squinting in the harsh light. The town is quiet now, the streets emptying as the miners return home to rest before tomorrow's shift. You walk home, each step heavy with the exhaustion of the day. You think about your family, about the few quiet moments you'll have before tomorrow. But you know tomorrow will be the same. The mine is waiting, and it never stops. Tomorrow, the rhythm will begin again, and you'll be right there, swinging the pickaxe, giving the earth what it demands. And tomorrow, you'll survive it again. The day is already breaking before you feel truly awake. The light through your window is dim, too early for comfort. The sound of the town waking up drifts through the quiet house, but the restfulness of sleep feels far behind you, swallowed by the weight of another day ahead. The aches in your body, the familiar tightness in your limbs, are the first things that remind you of the work that awaits. Another round of coal dust, of sweat, of labor. Another day in the mine. Your body protests as you stretch, but you ignore it. You know that pain well now. It's a constant companion. You groan softly, feeling every muscle that's been stretched and pulled by days, weeks, months of hard work. But there's no time for lingering. You rise, every movement slow but deliberate, pulling on clothes that have been worn so many times. They've started to lose their shape. The house is quiet except for the sounds of your wife, already moving through the routine of preparing for the day. She doesn't speak much, not today or any day. There's no need. The silence between you two has become part of the rhythm of life, something you've both learned to live with. She glances up at you when you enter the kitchen, her face as tired as yours, her own silent resignation matching yours. You exchange no words. There's no need. The mine waits for you both. The walk to the mine feels even heavier today, like something more is pressing on you. Your boots feel worn, the soles thick with dirt and wear. But you keep walking. The town's streets are beginning to bustle, the quiet early morning, slowly giving way to the noise of another workday. The miners move like shadows, all of you heading in the same direction, bound by the same fate. No one speaks. No one looks at one another for too long. You all share the same exhaustion. You reach the entrance to the mine, and as always, a cold knot forms in your stomach. The darkness of the pit before you feels as menacing as ever. The lift waits, but it's not just the descent that weighs on you. It's the entire act of stepping into it, leaving behind the world above, plunging into the bowels of the earth once more. You feel the weight of it before the lift even begins to move, as if the very earth is preparing to swallow you whole. The lift descends slowly, the familiar sounds of the chains and wood creaking, as you sink deeper into the earth. It's a suffocating, claustrophobic feeling, but you've gotten used to it. You know no other world. The mine is the only thing you have left, and that thought doesn't bring comfort. It simply is. When you reach the bottom, the air is thick, the darkness heavy. You pull your scarf up over your face, trying to shield yourself from the dust. But it's everywhere. The ground beneath your boots is damp, and the smell of coal, of sweat, and of earth fills your nose. You pick up your pickaxe, its worn handle familiar in your hands. The first strike is always the hardest, the weight of the work settling into your muscles. But you don't stop. You can't. Swing, strike, breathe. Swing, strike, breathe. The hours pass, but you don't count them. It's the rhythm, the rhythm you've learned to rely on. The motions become automatic, your body moving without thinking, just doing the work that's required. But there's a weariness in it today, something heavier than usual. Your shoulders ache, your arms feel like they've already been used up, and yet the mine keeps demanding more. You glance at the other miners around you. Their faces are grim, their bodies moving through the same motions. Some work in silence, while others speak in low voices, but it's not much. The work is all-consuming, and there's little room for anything else. The mine makes everything else feel insignificant, like there's only one thing that matters, and that's getting the coal out of the earth, swing after swing, strike after strike. But today, the exhaustion feels like it's getting to you more than usual. The dust, the heat, the constant weight of the earth around you. It all feels heavier today. Your muscles are stiff from yesterday, and the thought of doing this again tomorrow feels like too much. You push the thought aside quickly. It doesn't matter. The mind doesn't care how you feel. It just needs the work done. The bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift, and you can feel a brief flicker of relief. But it's gone almost as soon as it arrives. The second shift starts, and you move into the familiar rhythm again. You gather your tools, your muscles aching, your hands sore, but there's no rest. The work must go on. Swing, strike, breathe. Swing, strike, breathe. The cycle never ends. The mind doesn't stop, and neither can you. The hours drag on, but the work doesn't get any easier. It just continues. The darkness is endless. The dust is suffocating, but you keep going. You don't think about how long you've been down here. You don't think about the toll it's taking on your body. You can't. And then, finally, the bell rings again. The end of the shift. You've made it through another day. But you can't really say it's an accomplishment. It's just survival. You gather your tools, your body feeling like it's made of stone, and you head for the lift. When you step back into the daylight, it's like emerging from a dream. The brightness of the world feels harsh after the deep, crushing darkness of the mine. You squint, adjusting to the light, and begin the walk back home. The streets are quieter now, and as you make your way through the town, it feels like you're walking in someone else's life. Someone who doesn't know the weight of the mine. Someone who doesn't have to walk its endless path. You finally arrive home, but it doesn't feel like home anymore. The house is the same, but it's as if a part of you has been left behind in the mine, buried beneath the earth. You think about tomorrow, and the thought of another day in the pit settles in your stomach. It's the same thought you've had every day, and yet it never gets any easier. Tomorrow, you will return. Tomorrow, you will do it again. The morning feels like an echo, faint and distant, as you slowly rise from the bed. The silence in the room is deafening, even though the house is starting to stir with the hum of daily life. Your body groans as you stretch, every muscle sore, the aches from the day before lingering as reminders of the work still ahead. The moment of peace before the day begins is short, swallowed up by the knowledge that the mine is waiting, that another cycle of exhaustion is about to begin. You don't linger long in bed, though part of you wishes you could. There's no time for that. The mine doesn't wait for anyone. It will keep calling, regardless of how you feel. You stand up, stiff from sleep, and pull on your worn clothes. Every part of you is already tired before you even leave the house, but you get dressed because it's what you do. The motion is automatic now, ingrained in you after so many years. The house is quiet except for the clink of dishes as your wife prepares breakfast. Her movements are quick, practiced, efficient, just as yours are. There's no need for conversation. You both know what the day holds, and you've learned that words don't change anything. You share a glance, and it's enough. The silence between you is comfortable now. It has to be. The work is all-consuming, and you can't afford to waste time on anything else. You eat quickly, barely enough to stave off the hunger. It's always the same. You don't have the luxury of a leisurely meal. The work is too demanding, and the time to prepare something better is non-existent. The mine calls, and that's all that matters. The walk to the mine feels longer today. The air is colder. The streets quieter as you make your way through the town. The faces of the other miners pass by you, their expressions as blank as yours, their bodies as tired. You don't speak to them. There's no need. You all share the same fate, the same exhaustion. When you reach the entrance to the mine, the knot forms in your stomach again. You step inside, and the lift waits for you. The familiar creaks of the ropes, the low hum of the metal. It all signals the same descent into the dark, into the earth. The mine is a prison, but it's one you can't escape. The lift carries you down, the familiar weight of the world above fading as you descend into the depths. You reach the bottom, and the air hits you immediately. Damp, thick, and heavy. The darkness presses in on you like a living thing. You pull your scarf up over your mouth, trying to shield yourself from the cold dust that clings to the air. The smell of earth and sweat fills your nostrils as you take the first steps toward your place in the mine. The pickaxe is in your hands, and you grip it tightly, knowing that the day's work begins the moment you strike. You swing, and the sound of the pickaxe hitting the coal echoes through the cavern. It's the first swing, always the hardest, but it sets the rhythm for the rest of the day. You lose yourself in the motion, swing, strike, breathe. The hours pass, but it's all just repetition. The same movement, the same ache. The mine is a place where time doesn't exist. You don't know how many hours have passed, how many times you've swung the pickaxe. It's all just one long stretch of labor, one long stretch of dust and sweat. Your muscles are already sore before you begin, But the pain doesn't stop you. You don't have the luxury of stopping. The earth demands its due, and you give it. The other miners work in silence, the sound of their pickaxes joining with yours in a constant symphony of labor. There's no talking, no need for conversation. You're all here for the same reason, doing the same thing, and nothing changes. The work is endless, and so are the hours. The first shift drags on, but you don't count the time. You don't think about how long you've been down here, or how much longer it will be until you can leave. All that matters is the next swing, the next strike. Your body is moving on its own now, the fatigue becoming part of the background noise. Finally, the bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift, but it doesn't bring the relief it used to. It's just a momentary pause before the next round of work. The second shift begins, and you gather your tools, your arms already stiff from the first shift. The work never ends. The mind doesn't stop, and neither do you. The second shift is just as grueling, just as monotonous. You've lost track of the hours, but they don't matter. The fatigue builds, but you push through it. The work must be done. There's nothing else. The bell rings again, signaling the end of the second shift. You gather your tools, your body aching from the hours of labor. You step into the lift, and it pulls you back to the surface. The world above is harsh and bright, after the darkness of the mine, and for a moment, you blink, adjusting to the light. The town is quieter now, and you walk home, your steps slow, your mind too tired to think. You think about the work you did today, the hours that stretched on without end, but you don't feel like you've accomplished anything. You've just survived. Tomorrow, you'll do it all over again. The day breaks with little fanfare, the world outside still muted by the haze of early morning. You wake, and for a brief moment, the warmth of the bed feels like an illusion. The moment passes quickly, and the weight of the day begins to press down on you again. The familiar aches greet you. Your back, your shoulders, your legs, all sore from the labor of yesterday. But it doesn't matter. The mine is calling. There's no time for lingering in the comfort of sleep. You rise, each movement slow and stiff. The effort of standing already feeling like too much. But you've done this before. It's what you've always done. The routine is as automatic as breathing now. Get dressed. Eat something quick. Slip on your worn boots. Every part of you feels like it's been used up, like you're already running on fumes, but you keep going. You don't have a choice. The mind doesn't care if you're tired. It just demands. Your wife is already awake, moving around the house as she always does. She doesn't need to say anything. You can see the wariness in her face, in the way her movements are quick but mechanical. The silence between you both is filled with the knowledge that you're both just surviving. The work waits for no one. You eat quickly, not really tasting the food, just needing enough to fill your stomach. It's the same every day. Simple, plain, barely enough to fuel you through the morning. You don't have the time to indulge in anything more, and frankly, there's no energy for it anyway. The mine is all-consuming. The moment you step out the door, it's already waiting for you. The walk to the mine is long, the streets still quiet at this hour, though the town is beginning to stir. The faces of the miners pass you by, their expressions hollow, tired. There's no conversation, no greetings. The path you all walk is the same, and you don't need to say a word to each other to understand that. You all know what's ahead. It's the same every day. You reach the entrance to the mine, the dark maw of it pulling at you, just as it always does. The lift waits, a constant reminder that you're about to descend once more into the earth. The familiar creak of the lift as it lowers you is the same every time, a sound that has become as much a part of your life as anything. The descent is slow, each moment pulling you deeper into the darkness. When you reach the bottom, the air is thick with dust, the darkness absolute. You pull your scarf up over your face, but it does little to protect you from the constant barrage of coal dust that fills the air. The work is always the same, but each time feels like it's just a little bit harder. The weight of the day, the weariness in your bones. It never goes away. You take up your pickaxe. The familiar weight of it a constant reminder of your place here. The first strike is always the hardest. The fatigue from yesterday's labor still heavy on you, but you push through it. You have to. The rhythm takes over quickly swing, strike, breathe. Each strike is familiar, automatic. You don't think about it anymore. Your body just moves, doing what it's been trained to do. The hours blend together, one long stretch of physical exertion that you can't seem to escape. The dust, the heat, the coal, it all becomes part of you. The sweat runs down your face, mixing with the dirt that's already caked on your skin. You don't even notice the time passing. It doesn't matter. There's just the work, the endless rhythm of it. You glance around at the other miners. They look just as worn as you feel. Faces streaked with grime, bodies bent under the weight of the labor. Some of them work in silence. Others exchange a few words here and there. But it doesn't matter. The mine is a place of solitary work, even when you're surrounded by others. You're all just trying to get through it, one swing at a time. The bell rings, signaling the end of the first shift. A brief respite, but it doesn't feel like much. The second shift awaits, and you gather your tools, preparing yourself for the next round. Your muscles are sore, your hands are raw, but there's no time to rest. The work doesn't stop. Swing, strike, breathe. The second shift feels just as grueling as the first. The hours drag on, the sweat stinging in your eyes, the dust filling your lungs. The work never lets up. It's the same, day in and day out. Finally, the bell rings again, signaling the end of the shift. You've made it through another day, but it doesn't feel like an accomplishment. It's just survival. You gather your things and head toward the lift, your body aching, your mind too tired to think. The lift carries you back to the surface, and as you step into the light, it feels almost too bright after the darkness of the mine. You squint, adjusting to the daylight, but even the sun feels harsh. The town is quieter now, the streets emptying as the miners return home, all of you carrying the same exhaustion. You make your way home slowly, your steps heavy, the exhaustion of the day weighing you down. The thought of tomorrow, of doing it all over again, sits in the pit of your stomach. But you don't dwell on it. Not now. Tomorrow, the cycle begins again.